side certainly didn't look so bad, but when they went over to the T side, Luminosity certainly couldn't get it together. It was a bit of an awkward affair once it came in, and NRG took full control. But before that, Launders, one thing we got to look at here is actually where you guys, if you want to watch us, watch the games, you can play Counter-Strike alongside. If you've got 2 screens, you might want to head over to ESCA, sign up and join the games. Get yourself some good CSGO experience, because you know where that can lead you, Launders. You could then go and compete in the MDL, the Mountain Dew League, and that is your way to try and get yourself up the levels and into the Pro League. And maybe me and Launders will be talking about you sometime in the future.
Yeah, and more than that, you can actually get into the major that way. So if you sign up on ESEA, you can play the qualifiers that are open now ahead of each day, and maybe to get yourself some stickers.
Ooh, sticker money's always good.
Who's turning that down?
Some of these American players definitely want some more sticker money as well.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, we like capitalism, so
exactly
as much as you can hold, pretty much.
Does that count for Canadians as well? Or are you nicer?
It bleeds over a little bit.
Oh, okay.
You know, you play on a Canadian team, you've got a couple of Americans, you learn the ways.
So they just like slowly, they're like changing you bit by bit.
It's addictive. I can see why they're into it.
Now, what we're going to get into is that game we just saw, right? Luminosity, they've had games on Inferno that have looked better than that, but against this NRG, they could not stand up for it pound for pound.
Yeah, and in the beginning of the match, as you mentioned, it was Luminosity started off strong, got the pistol, a couple of rounds there. It looked very good. In fact, NRG was like, whoa, where's your T side at?
Yeah.
And Cirque, as we talked about, kind of started off cold. You brought up his performances on Inferno, and I think, you know, that makes sense on the T side. When we switch over, at that point, NRG get back in the driver's seat. The holes look so good, and that's where you really see all these players shine. I mean, it's one of those teams where it's like, who do you bully? You know, like what site do you go to that's easiest? It's almost never a good answer at times. So they're really put to the test, and I think even here some of the retakes were quite close, but ultimately NRG showed why they are ranked so much higher.
Well, time and time again as well, we saw Luminosity try and bust into that B bomb side, but with little effect. Even when they had chances, oh, we're going to get the bomb down, NRG were just ready and prepared at every step of the way. And I got to say, I got to give a lot of credit to Breezy again. I remember at New York when I praised some of the lurking he was doing, in the sense that he was taking a lot of information in, sitting back, hanging back, and actually just relaying the information before going in for the kill. But he was just causing a complete ruckus the entire time. So Inferno's certainly a ground that he likes.
Yeah, it's great. And, you know, him and Ethan being split up, it's tough. They're almost
two
peas in the same pod, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they never overextend, you know, but then they always frag so hard. And that's something I can never find out myself. It's like, if I felt great that day, I was peaking too much. But Ethan and Breeze, they know exactly when to reel it in, and so they never die easily.
Sometimes you get ahead of yourself, right? You're like, oh yeah, okay, look, I'm doming. Let's go a little bit further.
Yeah,
and
no
then you just get rolled on. You're like, oh man, what am I doing?
Yeah, and it is sometimes that one death that really can just ruin things.
Well, let's see if Luminosity can ruin things at NRG here on Cash, because it's quite an interesting affair. Cash actually is not so much a big pick for NRG. They've only played it 3 times in the last 3 months, but actually their win ratio is okay, good. You beat G2, but it was overtime. That was back in New York. And then they beat Swole Patrol, who's a bit of a meme team anyway. It was a 16-3. And then you've got them 12-16 loss against Complexity. Now, Complexity, okay, have been looking good, but that was one of their most recent results on this map. So it's not like they can't play it. Like, it's Cash, right? Everyone plays it. Yeah. But it's not a favorite here for NRG.
Yeah, so they have the structure. They kind of know what they need to do. But I think Luminosity is also a map that they like a lot, but the odds are a bit skewed just because of the amount of playtime on Cash, but that's kind of natural for a lot of matchups on Cash. You can't expect the other team is going to play it a lot, because not everyone's going to play it. You've got 2 to tango, right?
Oh yes, that is the way it needs to go down. And for Luminosity, though, it's a map they'll happily play into, but it's not a map that they've had much success into. Again, it's a lot of losses down this entire Luminosity roster, but I don't think that gives us the full picture as of yet. And what will give us the full picture is bringing in Scrawny and Just Harry over there. How are you guys doing? You ready for this one? You impressed with what you saw from at least NRG side of things?
Yeah, definitely by the NRG side of things. I mean, again, right, we get one of those examples where we just switch halves and then the game kind of gets shut down. So NRG are tough to break, and that's what we saw yesterday with their games as well, like just on an individual level too. I don't think it was necessarily completely lopsided like Cirque on Nuke, but man, was Breezy ever playing lights out.
Harry.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's going to be the real issue is going to be this Luminosity CT side here, right? It completely kind of, you know, it was the thing that maybe set them up over on Inferno. I'm thinking we need to see that double AWP a bit more. I want to see that on Henny and Yell. Didn't really get to see much of it over on Inferno, all things considered, right? I think they want to be getting off to a good start on the CT side because their T side fell apart on Inferno.
And this is the thing, right? Luminosity, we look at their past results. They've had a bit of time to kind of get this roster going, but you can see they are getting better, right? We're seeing not the same mistakes. The first week, me and Nata were very critical on the fact that they pretty much just weren't throwing much utility. It was the most basic and dry executes we'd ever seen, but they are building upon this. So maybe they're starting to realize, okay, we have got something we can work with here.
Yeah, and I think Cash is a map where, you know, we talked about just the opping on the T side of Inferno being difficult, let alone playing that double op setup.
Yeah.
We see them do it on Dust too. I think you can make an argument for double snipers on even the T side of Cash. It's very pocket pick, and I'm not saying it's going to be super consistent, but if it does boil down to just having that 1 or 2 rounds that Luminosity kind of need to steal away, I'd love to see them use that, because again, I'm constantly praising the Yell-Henny combo. I think it's sick to watch.
And the thing is, it's a scary action to go up against, right? When you go up
100%.
against those 2 players with it, because it was Yell who was actively AWPing the entire time. And then Henny comes along and he's like, well, actually, no, this is kind of my spot. But them 2 going absolutely ham. I don't want to be on the server when that's going down.
Yeah, I think there's a certain synergy actually between the 2 of them, kind of, right? Like when you have one of them opping well, it kind of pulls up the other. So let's just hope that the 2 of them together can give us a show here on Cash.
So where do we think this one is going? Because I still sit massively favoured on the NRG side. I think a 2-0 is very likely here, but do we believe that Luminosity can get this done? I'm sure you guys can go into greater detail as we go into this Cash map and give your thoughts.
Sounds good. We'll see you guys after this one. Perry, I think that personally I'm going to give the edge still to NRG. They've had themselves an incredible week of online Counter-Strike, and it doesn't show any signs of slowing down. Sure, Luminosity, they beat Cloud9 on 2 maps yesterday, but before that, they had only 1 win in the entire start to the season. And seeing the difference between Cloud9 yesterday and tonight makes me think maybe Cloud9 had themselves an awful start, and now LG may fumble. But it's the T side that NRG will be beginning on, and that may serve as a challenge, some would say.
Yeah, I'm thinking, you know, well, Luminosity, this is pretty good starting over on the CT side. Interesting enough, actually, they've gone into a double kit purchase here initially. Also, you can see the odds provided by the wonderful folks over at Betway, still edging the way of NRG in a reasonably big way. I'd say there's a pretty decent odds, all things considered. Neck is going to go ahead and manage the opening kill here for Luminosity. NRG barreling in towards this B bomb site, and they have gone even trade for trade. Steal through this smoke, gonna go ahead and tap down Ethan. Now leave Daps and Breezy in the firing line. Steel's gone through the smoke, trying to play things fast. And a couple of whiff shots, all that takes for Daps to find him. And now Daps in a 1v2 does manage the first kill, but not quite anything else as Yell is able to trade. And there's Luminosity picking up the pistol, and that actually puts them 3 for 3 for pistols thus far across these 2 maps.
That's a fact. That is a fact, Harry. And, you know, I like the fact that we had the little bit of a X-ray vision bug for round 1, because it just really goes to show how Steel's headshot there on the cross really boils down to just spamming the right position, anticipating that they are going to run into the bomb site, and sure enough, you catch one. It's random, it's chance, and you gotta love it. But, damn, Daps after the fact, comes off the plant, gets himself the clutch opportunity, and Yell denies it. But that's really the pistols, right? Pistol rounds do come down to just hitting yourself some pristine headshots. No one has helmets, Harry. No one has helmets.
Yeah, and you know, helmets are important. You need them, both in the game, when you ride a bike.
Yes.
There's another good time to wear a helmet. When else? When you're on a construction site?
Yep, definitely want one there.
Safety first, and you know, in the pistol rounds, you kind of have to forego that. You have to...
When you play baseball?
I don't play that.
Neither do I.
Being British.
But cricket?
Yeah, I should really know, but I don't think they wear helmets.
I think the batters do.
Yeah, I think, well, like the cat, yeah.
If they have batters.
I mean,
the cricketers.
I don't think anyone actually understands how cricket works. Is
No.
the way that game kind of goes is just, it's a bunch of guys hitting a ball around in a field, and one team wins after maybe an hour, maybe 20 minutes. I couldn't even tell you how long a game is, but I could tell you how long a game of Counter-Strike is. That's anywhere between about 25 to, like, I don't know, 100 minutes, depending on how many overtimes we see. Luminosity, though, while we're talking about timings, Neckers can't seem to catch a break, was just keeping an eye up here on the boost as they sent the first man up. He does a second time around, the bomb going to fall at his feet, and Neckers farms up 3 before Breezy trades that out.
Yell's turn. Ooh, baby. Second Deagle headshot. Did he just get another? Breeze is on 3. All he had was the Deke. And now he doesn't have the bomb, and there's a player already behind him, so he should be cut down, but what? Okay, finally, Steel does finish off.
I was worried. I was wondering how they hadn't seen him.
Thought he was going to get away. But, okay, Breezy, we see you. All right? You're still hot. You're still on fire, bud. 3 deagles in that one. Not going to pick up the round, of course, for NRG, but it does curb back the cash of Luminosity. And that's going to be a good position to put them in, seeing as both teams come in with a full buy. The effects of our new economy clearly seen.
Well, this buy from NRG. Let's see what they've got. What they're going to make of it. Over here towards main, 2 players grouped up early on. You can see they're holding over here towards this B bomb site, anticipating that maybe Luminosity try and go for some aggression. It's this boost for Steel that's netted an early man advantage here for the Brazilians, and he also dinked down Ethan previously. It's already a pretty healthy advantage going the way of Luminosity here. On this CT side, they've kind of been emphasizing the importance of them getting off to a good start here, just on account of how dismal that T side looked for them on Inferno.
Ah, that was really hot.
Oh,
Yeah,
well.
that's a warning, folks. You ever take a mug from someone, make sure that it's not boiling hot. I almost dropped it on myself, and then you would have heard me scream like a little girl.
Oh, no. Well, you know, while you've got your fingers singed by a mug,
Yep.
we're about to see Breezy try and singe some of his own. He throws in this mob. He missed it, but that's fine. Never mind. The other one doesn't miss. That's going to fall on headshot. Forces his players to reposition a bit, but things aren't as hot nor as heavy inside of this bomb site as maybe NRG anticipate. That Molotov missing its mark means that Heavy can just look to tear the offense limb from limb, and NRG, they get completely annihilated there. So Luminosity going to move into a 3-0 lead early on, and now there's no money once again for this NRG side.
Yeah, I mean, you'd think, right, if that second Molotov ends up landing, then what do the counter-terrorists do? Their options are to stand inside the smoke, put out the Molotovs and stand inside the smoke, eject over towards headshot lane, or run forward into the open to meet NRG in the battlefield. So that's a very crucial Molotov that was just missed its mark. And unfortunately for NRG, that was their opening gun round, Harry. So the result of it will be a buy-up with a bunch of utility. Now this to me is where the round loss bonus comes into effect, because they're already receiving round 4 loss bonus just previously by losing the 3rd, right? That's what affords them the extra utility on top of the armor and pistols they've bought. So not only is this new system good at, of course, buying guns early, but it's also good at getting all the little extra tidbits as you save for your 5th, or rather 2nd gun round in the 5th. But they use all the incendiary they were able to afford, they use all that utility on the bomb site, and they don't get anything from it. It's actually a change of pace and direction into middle towards A. Steel looks to throw himself into the open, looks to lock down the line, and it shouldn't be too difficult because 3 of the remaining 4 players from NRG are incredibly damaged. I mean, they're hanging on by a sliver, a thread, and yet still 4 Luminosity members dead. It is only Henny.
Yeah, this is seemingly coming from absolutely nowhere. Henny, what's he made of? Sneaking on out from Z, has spotted Daps and dealt with that immediate threat that was in the backline. Now, just Cirque and Fugly left to try and overthrow. By no means an easy feat, but at least Cirque has been tagged up earlier on in the round. Henny with a kit, a little bit of time to play with and a flashbang to try and force some of these fights out from NRG. But they're both playing passively down here in checkers. Henny, he's got to try and play chess as he hops on down from the heavens. They almost line up for him, but Fugly going to find the kill, and then that'll be NRG onto their first round here in round number 4. And on the back of, you know, a partial investment means that they're going to be able to buy into this one pretty handsomely.
Yeah, I mean, it's a textbook full buy. Everybody with 2 flashes, smoke, and a molly. No frag grenades, no love to the fragmentation. Everyone wants a little flaming liquor instead. Do you think it's alcohol in the Molotovs or gasoline? Or some other kind of flammable liquid? Like bleach. Is bleach flammable?
I
don't
mean,
know.
it's not very nice to get on you, even if it isn't.
True.
But I don't know if it's flammable.
There's only one way to find out.
Next week on the NA Pro. Well, I mean, if you were making a Molotov cocktail out of bleach, it'd be a real monster at that point. You put two already pretty horrid things together. Regardless, NRG.
Well, there's 2 players on Shroud Boost.
That is unusual. I would love to see maybe, you try and go for a bit of a bait and switch, maybe make one of the players hop on down from that giveaway that he's up there. And then they anticipate that, oh, he was on the boost, but now he's gotten down. Let's see how they decide to try and make this happen. Neckers, he was the man up on the boost. He's now been killed, but there's another player hidden there. That's the bait and switch. It's Yell sitting above his deceased comrade's body. Trying to hold back this push, and they're going to have no idea that he's here. He could do it all. He's playing it by ear, and they go rushing on in 20 seconds. They have to go for this push. Yell. This is going to be the round going the way of Luminosity, almost for definite, as he finds both frags. The bombs drop. Daps in a 1v3 in 10 seconds. That's just not happening. And a convincing round there from Luminosity. I love the idea of double boosting. Yeah,
I mean, Yell gets credit there because he does stay in the boost. Obviously made possible by the fact that they cleared Neckers early and that he's no longer seen. But what's most important for that to even happen at all is that Steel clears the NRG player who had pushed up highway. We all know the counter to the Shroud boost is the players coming up highway. And so if that player even gets vision, like even if he dies but sees that first, then it's all going to come unraveling. However, it's never even spotted because Steel does such a quick job of removing that highway, man. Very nicely done by him. Crucially enables Luminosity's setup to succeed, and you see the result of it. Like you said, 20 seconds left. What else do they do but make that play happen? So poor NRG have been left in a dilapidated state. They have 2 AK-47s, 3 upgraded pistols around it, enough utility to justify this execute, but they're not going to get the opening pick. It's Steel to turn one away. And by the time he comes back in for the repeat, he's met by one of 2 AKs. Yell's up next, and he feels the pressure from Forklift. Neck is trying to deal with that, but neither player able to cut down the offenders. I mean, Yell, he's just throwing himself inside the smoke. The bomb on the site, but not yet an attempt to plant because this is so hectic. Everything's being thrown up in the air now, and grenades on top of it. Finally, it's gone down, but they need the duels, Harry. That's what they need. A couple of kills to turn this back into their favor, and they've done substantial damage onto 2 of the remaining 3, but it's the kills that continue to come in for Luminosity. Breezy alone. Gonna go off the quad peak. Neckers actually takes down Yell. If only he had railed Neckers right after, that would have been a beautiful attempt. But it's a thing of dreams, not beauty. 5th one for LG.
And it's another convincing CT side start here from the Brazilians. Only this time, NRG not quite rising to the occasion just yet. Doesn't really feel like we've seen them have too many chances in these rounds. That one definitely being the closest that immediately springs to mind thus far. Gonna be back to the drawing board here for NRG. One thing to note is at least they have kept these rounds reasonably close, and as a result, Luminosity don't have an economy built up. But oh, Neck is not ready for this. Somehow going to find both frags down here in middle. The things could have gone very badly there for this man. He's sitting top of the board right now for Luminosity. I haven't even seen the score, but I'm just anticipating that with him being 12-4. He's looked absolutely unreal thus far.
That's including a round where he was the first to die when he was boosted up. So he's not even really been enabled in all of these, yet still has 12 kills. Good for him.
Now 13, as he continues to put up these numbers, padding those stats versus the partial bought NRG. This is looking like a sick round for Luminosity. NRG have to try and figure out how they're going to break this defense. It's been a tough nut to crack, and that's why they still haven't figured it out.
Walnut, Harry.
Like a walnut indeed. Did you know? I only found this out. I'll try and teach you. Do you know what, like, the nut inside of a walnut is called?
No, we had this conversation the other day, actually. Didn't have the answer.
The nut meat. That's
really?
just it, yeah. I didn't think it would be called meat.
The nut meat.
Yeah.
Well,
it's not quite as introspective as your...
If you can make milk from almonds, you can make meat from walnuts.
That's true. You know? It is wild. We could just source everything from nuts.
But not pistachios. Are those nuts?
They're nuts, yeah.
Are they?
Yeah.
They don't look like nuts.
Are you taking the pistachio?
You taking the pistachio out of me?
Oh, tactical timeout for NRG.
Yeah, it's a
Clearly.
good time. A good time for that. You know why? Because they're down 6-1 on the T side, Harry. And things have not been looking all too clean. They've been shut down many times in many directions. What's going on with Luminosity? They were in dead last. I think they were like 1-7. Maybe 1-9. Could you bring up the standings for me?
Yep. You've
You do that.
Yeah. I'll crunch the numbers.
Because I'm going to bring up the second point, which was until yesterday, they only had that one win. They dispatched of Cloud9, a matchup where, you know, we had gotten to the point where we'd seen Luminosity lose so often, we thought to ourselves, like, yeah, it's another loss. It's going to happen again. And yet, no, they turned that around. And now here again tonight versus NRG, one of the best teams in the division right now, currently second place with a record of 9 and 2 overtime wins and 4 losses. Not supposed to be losing to LG, but hell, if they've turned a new page, then I'm all for it, because it was a bit disappointing to see them struggle. But they will struggle this round at least, because Breezy's had enough. But just as fast as he can get his kill, it's a couple of more from Cirque and Ethan. Mid belongs to NRG.
Yeah, Henny and Lucas, brothers in arms here, 2-on-4, and at this point, they're just really going to look to try and save, as we kind of addressed in the previous round. Money's never really been given the chance to build up for Luminosity. So NRG, all it takes is for them to win this one round, and suddenly, you know, Luminosity back in the doldrums with that weakened economy.
I really like that word. Doldrums.
Yeah.
Is it like a dungeon?
I actually know. I just heard Jason say it a whole bunch, but
Learn from the best.
let's go ahead. We can look this up.
Doldrum.
Yikes! Is it even a word? Yes, it is.
Doldrum. A sluggish or slow-witted person. A region over the ocean near the equator. No. A condition of inactivity.
Or stagnation. A downswing, slump, or slack period. That's the one.
That's the one we're looking for. See, I don't trust words with 4 or 5 definitions, you know?
Yeah. Why,
Who are you?
Why do multiple definitions apply to, like, you know, why, you know, when you use some word in different contexts, because it can have 2 meanings? How wild is that? Who decided that?
You know?
I can't think of a good example right now, but there's plenty. Look it up.
All those words that escape me.
Yeah.
But here we go. This is what we wanted. This is what we saw on Inferno. The double op setup. Yelling Henny. But,
Oh my goodness, look
oh
at the
boy.
speed of this. Look at the speed of NRG. They're in the B bomb site. This is already going down, and Lucas, he's got to try and hold his own. Instead, he's going to get bested almost immediately. This round's already over.
Yeah, it's looking like it. Poor Luminosity caught with their pants down. We talked about the 2 oppers, but neither of them have even seen anyone. And Yell never gets the chance. Ethan just beams him. With 1 point of health on top of it. It's always fun to note. Is there anything more tilt-inducing in Counter-Strike than dying to a guy with 1 health?
Yeah, I think, you know, having, you know, like those moments where you hold an angle for like 12 years.
And then you look
and
away.
then you look away and then instantly die from that angle. That's pretty bad. Or having a teammate call a flash at, like, just as it explodes and then getting upset because they say they called it and
Right.
they didn't. Those are 2 things that are pretty tilting. But 1 HP, that's also, that's definitely top 3 material.
It's up there. It certainly is. And speaking of the number 3, that's how many rounds NRG now have. It's also the number of pauses they have remaining.
Ooh.
Or rather, I guess Luminosity does. Because
Yeah.
this is nice. NRG get one on the board, and what's Luminosity's response? Take a pause. Cool it off. Maybe just calculate the cash. We don't have it on screen right now, but I can't recall whether or not they had an economic state to rehabilitate their defense.
Hey, just looked up the word of the day.
Yeah,
It's linchpin. That's a pretty good word.
that is. Defined as a locking pin inserted crosswise, or one that serves to hold together parts. This is, okay, listen to this definition word by word, and tell me it even makes sense, all right? One that serves to hold together parts or elements that exist or function as a unit.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It does, but it just doesn't seem like it would.
Yeah, some things, you know, when you put them together, like sentences don't feel like they should work.
Like the guy who wrote that,
Sometimes
do you
they
think
do.
he said to himself after, everyone's going to understand?
No, I think it was like when you're doing an essay, you got to get that word count up.
Yeah, of course.
You really just like try and squeeze in some extra words.
Therefore, sincerely, the
you
best,
separate
I
every
agree.
can't into a cannot.
Yep.
See, that's a 2-for-1. That's a freebie, by the way.
As
Anyone
many
watching?
adjectives.
Yeah, anything that has a, is it an apostrophe? Anything that has an apostrophe where you shorten the word, just delete them, get them out of there.
See, I'd say this is the key to university, but I dropped out, so what do I know?
Yeah, I dropped out too, so maybe don't listen to us. Pretty terrible advice. Here is Steel and Henny, and they could do with some advice in this scenario. What's the best play here? You have been able to find a couple of kills. Henny's on this wrap round, and actually, he's not looking to get too much done. Steel left in a 1v3. Just going to stick it. They're buying up anyway into this next round, hoping he can find something with the Mac-10. But ultimately, he cannot. And NRG, they were 6-1 down. Now they're making their way back into this game.
Right, that's the thing I expect from NRG. It's the same thing we saw from them on Inferno, right? I think they're the type of team where they have the ability to, and the resiliency to make that happen, right? Even during all of the matches they've had this week, there's been times where they're fighting off the back foot, but they still continue to win. So they don't go down without a fight. And I think that's something that is a good sign of you know, the top dogs, right? It's like Liquid. Give them a close half, but switch sides and you're done for. Well, NRG, even within halves, can turn games back. That's what they've done, at least in the most recent of rounds, but they are now man down and have a job ahead. Breezy, with him and everyone having utility, should be able to blanket this A site before they make their move, but if they split through Highway, they're going to be confronted by 4 of the 5 Luminosity players. Ethan thinks that he is sneaky, but it's read like a book. Picture book on top of it. Steel peeks wide from the site, and everybody's dead for NRG. They tried to split Harry, and they got split instead.
Yeah, one man who certainly isn't off to the best of starts here over on the side of Luminosity is going to be Lucas, currently sitting bottom of the board with 1 kill to his name. Not the sort of performances we're used to seeing from this man. He is going to be back on the cards here for NRG at the very least. Going to be donning the AWP. Wasn't able to find anything before that smoke plumes down here in mid. Three players for Luminosity over here. I'm not even sure what that was. Like, gonna boost up Ethan, but one man to keep an eye on. Look at Steel. He's a man of steel. He's all the way up through Squeaky. And he could shut this whole round down. They have to be keeping an eye on this. NRG have to be wary that a man could tear this all limb from limb, but Ethan looks to provide for his team. He's opened up and he has successfully gone blow for blow with Neckers down here in mid. Henny answering back. Daps chiming in with one more in the meantime, has dropped the other half of the brothers, and Henny just gonna look away, misses the timing, and Cirque as a result picks him off. From the crowd, it's Yell and Steel left up in a 2v4.
That's that exact instance that we were just talking about, where like you have yourself an idea as to where someone's coming from, you look away to try and capitalize on a different opportunity, and then bam, there's a guy coming out from vent. So poor Henny's down for the count. Yell and Steel could save. They've got the T's pinched on the exit, so I think they can no, never mind, not afford to throw their lives away for the sake of exit frags. This is actually the state that both these teams are in here, coming into the last few waning rounds of the first half, is that nobody's money is strong, because we've had that back and forth affair as of late. With all the utility on Steel too, just count your blessings. Count your lucky stars. Cross your fingers and your toes.
If you can cross your toes.
Only the big one.
Yeah, I mean, my toes are really messed up. I don't
You got 11?
I don't have 11, sadly. I would love that. You know, then you always have a spare. It's like, you know, why you have 5 tires. You only need 4, or even 3.
I know a guy who lost his thumb in a carpentry accident, and they cut off his big toe and stuck it to his hand. And it works. He has a big toe for a thumb.
But hang on a minute. How, like, when you say he lost it, I imagine like was it a clean cut?
No,
or,
it was like mulch. They
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Then, yeah, that makes sense. I was gonna say, like, why did they turn him in? Like, did they stick his finger back on his foot? They're like, look at this guy. Look at this freak
imagine that
we've had to create.
Imagine that option if someone says, "Hey, listen, okay, it's a tragedy, sir, but you've lost your thumb. Unless you lose a toe."
I thought toes helped you balance a lot.
They do, but I don't know. I saw it with my own eyes.
Yeah, that's amazing.
A big toe on a hand. It still had all the hair.
They didn't even shave it. Well, that does seem totally ridiculous. Neck is going to manage that kill onto Breezy. So,
it's a good way to equalize it at the 4v4. But the problem here, Harry, is that he's still stuck into this, and you can see the two T's trying to catch him on his exit. Nobody there to help either. Luminosity still have half their members dedicated to the B bomb site. And now if they boost players over and look down, well, they would have killed Nekis had Cirque not got him first.
Yeah, now this leaves a lot of pressure on it to Steel. He's been a bit of a key for Luminosity inside of this A bomb site. Now he resides here alone, and he's got to go ahead and drop the anchor as he gets into position here on MBK. He's got it all to do. These rotations are ridiculously far away. So if Steel falls, this round falls with him. And sadly, as he goes down, so does the chances of Luminosity picking this up. That's going to be an a 6th round on the board for NRG. Get a bit ahead of myself there. 4 players staying alive as well, accruing money, and they're going to go hunting as a result. They spot out this man in the back of the site. We need to see Luminosity hold on to these guns. Anything they can take with them is just a massive blessing at this point in time, and NRG hounding them down relentlessly.
Yeah, this is again very reminiscent of the first map, whereby we saw Luminosity have that strong start. We saw NRG dealing with some economic woes, but then towards the end, NRG started to figure things out and make a close enough half. Remember, once they switched sides, NRG, they didn't have that financial issue, so they just ran away with the game. But I mean, you know, in the first 7 of this half, we had the CTs pick up 6, and that 1T round was smack dab in the middle. They won the 4th, only to be reset in the following. Now that same situation has happened here to Luminosity. They win, or NRG, excuse me, wins 3. We get 1 round out of Luminosity, and it is cut down by the reset. So it's very crucial for them to save these guns. It's very crucial to try and make the most of a defense in the waning few rounds that are remaining here, because we've only got the 14th and 15th left. But what is good for Luminosity is they have an opening pick. They've established this 4v5, and we're going to get that same 2-man setup from LG within the B bomb site. They have some utility to play with, and they're not making noise. So look at the way NRG have actually closed the distance. They've gotten so close and up front into the teeth of LG, but they haven't done anything about actually clearing the defenders. Until finally Daps finds one. Henny's still in here. They should know that, because he killed the first entry. But Nekis has come in from heaven. He's the player that's supposed to trade, and he too toppled. So it all falls down to Steel and Yell, both of which coming in off the flank. It's a good way to blindside the offer and then attempt one further. But Ugly holds the line, and an excellent flashbang allows for him to get into the checkers. So Yell now has no idea where they've got off to, finds the closer one, and it all falls on to Daps. He's got this in with the 2 kills already, but at 58 HP and having the utility for Yell, if only he had a kit, Harry. He needs the kill right now, and yet he's walking in so slowly. So he's clotheslined by Daps, and NRG tie at 7 rounds apiece.
I mean, this was 6-1 at one point in time in favor of Luminosity. NRG, as you say, it's very reminiscent of Inferno. They've now figured out how to crack the code, crack the puzzle that is Luminosity, and since then, every round has been going their way. For the last round of the half, Luminosity force buying into it. And to say it's less than ideal feels like an understatement at this point in time. 2 UMPs and MP9. Deagle for Lucas, and he's been having a pretty tough time of things thus far. No such problems for NRG, and they know that they can afford to take this round slowly. They're baiting at all the very limited amount of utility that Luminosity had into this round, and already you can see what remains of that. 2 smokes, an incendiary, and a handful of flashbangs between the Luminosity boys. NRG so close to winning out the half here.
Couple of immediate kills on A main. That's a good way of using the SMGs. Get up close and in their face. Kick in the teeth. Give them a reason for braces. But now they must brace themselves because Daps is on a tear. He's just demolished the A defense. I mean, they had a chance, Harry, but they continued on. They couldn't quite find footing further back. So now it falls on Lucas in a 1 versus 3 attempt in the final round. A half that looked like Luminosity are just going to run away with. Remember, 6-1 advantage turned into what looks like a 7-8 loss. But he's at least burned Breezy alive. Walks in forward, only to be blinded. Probably knows that he's going to be pinched in a crossfire, but has no clue as to exactly where they've got off to. That's a big one, though. And oh man, did he have a chance. But it is shut down by Fugly. NRG taking themselves an 8th round and establishing at least 1 point of a lead before they start off on the defense.
Yeah, and this is, once again, just like Inferno, split right down the middle. This is that Breezy 3K. My goodness, we didn't get to see all 3 of those kills with the Deagle. And I'm kind of glad because that was just despicable. Breezy making it look easy. Neck is pinned down in mid. Yeah, we saw some good things early on from Luminosity. It's just the second that they start to face these issues, the second they end up on the back foot, it feels like that's where the system fails. That's where they fail to hold themselves up, remain resilient, and start to change things up that work versus this NRG roster. Taking a look at this scoreboard, it's interesting. Neckers and Steel very much leading the charge over here for Luminosity. Over on the side of NRG, an unlikely man at the top of the board. It's the friendly giant Daps going to be bringing it in for the NRG.
I mean, here's the thing. Daps actually does have really good LAN performances. Individually speaking, there's times where Daps is one of the best, right? It kind of comes out at times. I think it's like Nitro. Like, he's not an in-game leader that gets bogged down by the responsibility. And that's a good thing. Because all you need is that one extra player to kind of go a level above and beyond, right? And you shouldn't always rely on the same 2 or 3. So good job, Daps. Props to you. Now let's see if this 3-man A setup actually does anything for NRG, because Luminosity are feeling it out. Look at Yell, just kind of creeping and crawling his way in. Attempting the unlocked door. But this is one of those situations where you tell yourself, it's quiet. Too quiet.
Yeah, Luminosity not keen on the idea of splitting up and looking for clues. Instead, they've started to push on in, and well, Neckers manages a quick double. Cirque trying to dance around and stay alive. Ooh, quick tap onto Steel, but out of ammo. Neckers going to continue this good form. Picks up his 3rd. Suddenly it's Daps and Breezy left up. Breezy has at least dispatched of Lucas down in mid. It's Neckers and Henny. Neckers already with 3 kills to his name. Going to be playing over here towards quad. Does have this crossfire set up, and it's a pretty brutal one at that.
Got themselves a little bit closer. Trading out Neckers' attempts, and oh my goodness, 11 health between the 2. That's not even fair. We should be giving a consolidation point to Luminosity, I think.
Yeah, sadly, there's no participation medals here. This isn't, I don't know. I don't know what this isn't.
Intramural sports.
Yeah, there you go.
Extracurricular activities.
No, this certainly isn't. This is getting schooled.
If you're not a winner, you're a loser.
Yeah.
And NRG have just won the pistol. So what does that make Luminosity?
Oh, just laying into them right now, Connor.
Only the pistol.
Taking a look at these odds on the screen, NRG very much the favorites now. Luminosity, as a result of getting the bomb down, they have a little bit more money. They've gone for it. A few pistols here and there, spread thinly across the Luminosity side. NRG with these SMGs in play. One issue with having so many SMGs means you really do have to play for that bonus round into the next. You're not going to have the money to upgrade, which, you know, can be both a blessing and a curse. Fugly popping up a few frags down here in mid. He certainly made his money back at least. Just Henny and Neckers left alive once again. The 2 from the pistol round, now just Neckers. And as good as he has looked, this just doesn't feel like a winnable round.
Bam! Doesn't get a second. That one would have been beautiful, but nope. 2 health, you're done. Put a fork in it. Roasted. Are you laughing at me, Harry?
Yeah.
You got something to say?
No, I think I'm all right, Connor. You know, you're a pretty tough dude. No one knows this, but I've seen you bench, you know, like what, 10 liters?
Yeah, small children. I'm referring to Hugo.
Oh, right, okay. I was going to say, like, yeah, yikes. But, no, yeah. Hugo is the smallest child I've ever seen.
He makes up for it in personality. Just
so
kidding.
I've heard.
Ooh, the double nade. Nobody actually out there, so it doesn't go their way. Ooh, I like a good two-man highway stack. You know, not keeping a player in Z. It allows for you to quickly move over to the A site if a swarm of terrorism happens to come out of A main. Not something you ever want to find in a dark alley. Swarms of terrorism.
No, definitely not. I think swarms of anything.
Yeah, like gnats.
Yeah, they're what even is that?
That's
like,
those little flies. You know, you ever walked into a, like, you're just walking down the road and then you get a face full of little tiny bugs?
yeah, them.
Gnats.
Okay, yeah. No,
swarms of
they're
gnats.
the worst.
Ugh. I'll take the terrorism.
Oh, well, yeah, no, his yell, he's alone, and now he's dead. So sadly, not really much we can yell about there. It is going to be him falling. Henny and the gang going to go walking into Fugly. Neck is continuing his good form. Suddenly, it all falls to Breeze. Never mind. He's been dealt with. Lucas continuing this aggression. Pushing on in, going to get flashed through by the rest of his team. Doesn't lead for much. And there we go. What about a swarm of otters? Maybe not great news for you, but be great for...
They're actually pretty friendly, I think.
Well, I mean, probably.
I'd
Maybe
take
not
a
swarm, though.
Yeah. Yeah, once they have numbers on you.
Yeah. Who would win, you know, like one man or 50 otters?
That's a lot of otters. If it's like 5, I think I could beat up 5 otters. I don't know about 50. It's just too many targets.
I mean, it depends, right? If they're on land, would that help?
I think so, because I'm not a very good swimmer. Plus, think of it this way: if you're in water, how do you punch? How do you attack in water? You know, we don't have those kinds of tools, Harry. We don't have big teeth. We don't have claws anymore. We rely on our soft bodies and big brains.
Yeah, that's very true. That's why the water freaks me out, man. We're not meant to go in there.
No,
that's not our territory.
It's the dolphins' turf. They're the humans of the sea.
Exactly. Or are we the dolphins of the land?
Oh my god. What came first? The dolphin or the man?
The age-old question. We're looking for answers. And I tell you what, we spoke about the ocean so much. Let's see what this A bomb site anchor is able to do. From the boys of NRG, they're trying to hold the fort. It's actually Cirque to open things up. The trade's going back and forth. Well, 4-on-4 right now. Henny able to go ahead and drop Breezy. An advantage up for the Luminosity guys, and they've got all the time in the world. They're just going to back away from this A bomb site for the time being. Let NRG stew in the fact that they've lost so many players here. Ugly regaining lost ground does pick up Yell, and now he's going to get the information this is clear. It's a 3-on-3 retake in this B bomb site. NRG, I'm curious if they're going to go for this one. You imagine so. This bomb's still yet to go down, so they're going to have plenty of time to set up.
It does seem as though they'll have the site encapsulated. They've got that mid control with Daps. Ops not. Oh no, he will go through vent. Okay. Thought maybe the long con was coming in, but no sir. So the terrorists plant the bomb, and where do they go? Into the corner of the bomb site, one underneath the heaven, and that Molotov's going to have to redirect the majority of NRG. And now the entirety of them, in fact. Daps dead. And with their leader gone, it looks like NRG call it quits. They will save to fight another day. That op is so important. But this is a 9th one from Luminosity, and this T side might start to tear away from NRG. You have to be cautious with a team like these Brazilians. They are very explosive in nature.
Speaking of nature, there's a show about beavers I would love to show you.
Beavers?
It's the best damn documentary I've ever seen.
As a Canadian, I do appreciate some good beaver humor.
Yeah, that's a whole genre of its own out in Canada, right? Okay. Well, yeah, that's all I got, really. So I'm sorry to disappoint. If you have any more tricks up your sleeve, let me know.
Who's the toughest beaver of all?
I don't know.
Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Ooh, they're getting worse. They're getting worse, but at the same time, infinitely better. NRG, let's see what they're made of. It's a bit weird over in mid. Oh my goodness, what's happening? Fugly, how's he here? They finally get rid of him. I don't know what was going on there, but now Lucas and Neckers, thankfully, they've got this situation back under control. They've made me be able to find my words and just stop grunting and making noises in response to what's happening. Bomb's going to get in towards this B bomb site, and just the AWP up on Cirque. So NRG already looking like they're going to go ahead and save.
Again, I mean, listen, Ethan and Breezy don't have much to lose, but that AWP is very important. So we play it. This is what Launders is talking about when he says like the Secret Service of NRG, except it's not in a gun round. But I think we might start to watch Cirque kind of position to succeed here. There are times where you'll just watch NRG function around him. Like he is so clearly the key piece in the round, in their strategy or execution. Obviously this time it's just so that if anybody comes to kill him, Breezy will stop. He'll become the meat shield. Not a job I'd ever want. Luminosity will happily cut them both down if they have to. Whatever it takes on the road to victory. So far they've tied it up at 10.
Yeah, we are all tied up here. Buy back in from NRG, that AWP that's been carried forward. On Cirque now looks to try and do some work of its own. Already the nade gonna rain in. Tag down Fugly, but Cirque's gone aggressive through Squeaky Door, and there's no one here to help him out. He does have Ethan with him, so you mentioned the idea of that Secret Service coming on in. Ethan doubling up with Cirque here, and Squeaky now leaves once she's got him into position. And actually, they decide to just go ahead and give this up. They take that portion of the map, and now they leave it. Mid does get left open as well in response. There's 3 players grouped up in that A bomb site. Breezy looking like he was going to consider rotating around as well. Does maintain his position up in the heavens. But Luminosity, minute left on the clock, plenty of time, and they've got full mid control. But a missed smoke on Z could complicate things a bit here.
Oh, does he make that jump back? No. That would have been a nice one, but Henny has to go elsewhere. So by pushing into Squeaky, NRG realized that that's not going to be a portion of any kind of A execute. They know they gave up middle, so it's either going to be a straight up highway A main split or this B hit. In the end, it's the latter. And NRG are already going to be confident in their rotations. Look at the way they're quickly boxing in Luminosity. They're getting into this fight while the execution unfolds. And that all comes off of the confidence from the info. So sure, Cirque and Ethan, they may push into Squeaky and find no kills for it, but they get something even more powerful than kills, Harry. They get themselves the confidence of info.
Tactical pause called on in, a chance to try and figure out what's going on, what's going wrong, what's going right. Now Luminosity can look to try and win this fight. It was a great performance there from Fugly up in the vents to see it through for NRG. Got to bear in mind though, they might have won that round. They put everything into it, right? They spent a lot of time on to try and build this economy back up. Neither one of these teams, you know, once again, not really a clear victor in this one. One thing that is good for this NRG squad is that they don't kind of have that same limitation for Luminosity. They don't have that need for money because they don't frequently run the double AWP setup.
Whoa. They go for the same play, Harry, that 2-man cohort moving into Squeaky Door. But having met some resistance, they opt not to continue on. This is a complete and utter opposite as to what happened in the previous round for NRG when they found that for free and moved elsewhere. This time they're going to have to keep a standard setup because they don't get any info. All they find is that resistance. A little warning, so to say. Now they're going to take A main. Because you can't just completely be inactive. Even if you've been shut down from the squeaky control, you know you may feel out other portions of the map. Do you really want to chance B main? I wouldn't say so. Not with the consistency of Luminosity heading that direction. So you take A main because you don't have mid. If you don't have middle on cash, you tend to want either squeaky or main, and they've got one of those two. What it does is it enables Cert to kind of float around and hit it from two separate directions. That's what he does after getting the pick. Changes positions towards Z. But all the while, Luminosity, despite being 4v5, are kind of creeping their way up highway. They've been spotted and they're going to make their move, bomb not included, but it does draw the rotation of Daps away. If only it went well for them and they could have doubled up with some kills. Although, they still at least get their entries. They still at least move that bomb one step closer, but look at Daps, he comes in from the heavens. Still close enough to find impact, but not lock it all down.
Steel is able to win out his fight though, and what a fight to win. He's pulling them back into this round, but the bomb plant does just come in the nick of time. Ethan sticking it, and Steel pushing on in, goes to deny, and he's going to pull off the clutch. He gets 3 kills, a monstrous performance there from the man at the helm of Luminosity, and he's pulled them back to an 11-11 scoreline, all tied up here. The only difference now is the economic situation that NRG find themselves in is anything but ideal. They're going to go for the buy. They stick all they've got into this round. And when you take a look at it, you know, you got 3 rifles up, very limited utility. There is a defuse kit on Fugly. He takes the hit, you know, picks up the MP9 in order to afford it. But this means they have to try and find an advantage elsewhere, and indeed they do. Daps opens up, and that is a crucial kill here for NRG.
Yeah, when you're working with so little utility and you don't have many kits, you want to try and get an early advantage so that it may snowball and avalanche into an easy win. I think back to the previous round, and I mean, Ethan, he could have come off that bomb and so easily killed Steel. He had 11 health. The MP9 would have done the job, but he thought maybe he sticks the defuse instead. That could have made a world of difference, because if he picks up the victory in that round, it's not an NRG that's strapped for cash like this one is. Every death will have resonating effects. And with this one here from Steel, that skewers the defense. It keeps them over towards the A site, puts a thorn in their side in the sense that Steel can just lock this down, and everybody else from LG is going to go barreling down through B main. That puts it all on Fugly, and he has an MP9. He's going to come back into mid, and that's a great call, because not only does he upgrade guns, but now, sure, Luminosity may take this site. They're going to be boxed in at a man disadvantage.
Bomb plant will come in at the very least, but now they have to try and stand the test of time. NRG, they're the ones on the clock, and they have a flash to try and open up this bomb site with. That's going to be on Fugly. As he's left the vent and rerouted on round, he's going to be able to throw that into the rest of his team. Henny, a missed shot, and that would have been such a critical kill to find, but blink of an eye, Yell and Henny, they've done it all. Circlet in a 1v2, and it's just not happening. As Neckers even gets his piece of the pie as well. It's going to be Luminosity, 12-11. No money left for NRG, and a chance now for the Brazilians to start to pull ahead in the latter stages of this game.
Yeah, round by round, they are piecing this together, but it all comes off of Neckers. 25 kills. The next closest would be Steel at 18. And sure, while he hasn't had as many kills, I think he's had some of the most impactful. Whether that be the clutch, whether that be inside of mid. You saw it in the most previous round when he goes through Z, hits up truck side, and enables the entirety of that play from Luminosity. So this time he's tested in mid, and he's being met with a lot of resistance, even though it's just these pistols. 700 deagle on Fugly, $200 flash for Daps. Other than that, vanilla. So it's an easy pick'ems here for Luminosity. That's 3 kills already. Bomb's gonna go wherever the hell it decides to, because it's not even gonna matter here, Harry. It's kills that make the difference.
Yeah, most certainly is. By the way, quick B stream update for you all. Currently, we have Renegades versus Ints, and they're going to be up 13-11 right now on Dust 2. That's Renegades in the lead, rather.
You do love yourself some Renegades, huh?
I do love myself some Renegades. I'm a big fan of the boys. And they're looking good right now. The changes, they're very interesting. Sad that we don't get to see them play today. But, you know, there's still time.
They were leading the North American Pro League. They were overtaken by Ghost. Ghost is in first place.
It's wild, right? But this seems to be the case every season. I mean, even if you think back to the last one, NRG, back then, pretty unproven team. They were the ones to win out the online season in ECS and EPL.
Yep. This guy, dropping facts. And Ethan looking to improve his stats. He's had a quieter game, considering what we expect of him. Sometimes the most consistent of all the players here on NRG. But there's still time for him to get back into the driver's seat. Bugley lining up one, but now it's all on him. And he cannot maintain Yell. Instead, he's left shouting for rotations, and even when Staps arrives, he dies. It's a 14th for Luminosity, really starting to pull ahead on this T side. And who would have expected this? I thought NRG were going to have this one in the bag, Harry. But that's what I get for writing off the Brazilians, who seem to be turning pages left and right in the most recent of days. I mean, are they the worst team in the league, or are they the best? I can't figure it out.
Well, they are showing signs of being on the up and up at the very least.
Which is fine. All they need to do is avoid auto-relegation. Just don't be the...
Regulation.
Regulation.
I always struggle saying that word too, I'll be honest.
I was thinking regulation.
Yeah, right? That's the issue.
Relegates
and
and
normally you
regulations.
say... Normally, I don't know about you, but I always say relegation when I mean regulation. And then, just then you said regulation, which is a weird combo.
Such tomfoolery.
Yeah, exactly. But we have ourselves perhaps a bit of a lull in the action here. It's an interesting call from NRG. They're not going for the force now. Instead, going to wait for the full buy in this next round. But that means the likelihood is you hand over match point to Luminosity. I like the call, though. NRG, you know, they're fully aware the importance of utility here, the importance of having everything they need, all the pieces of the puzzle slotting together, you know, getting Cirque, his AWP, for example, having the full utility across the rest of the squad. I like that. So, also, you know, some people kind of mistakenly read into these as, you know, oh, but if they had faith that they could win, they would force buy, right? But I argue you're showing even more faith in your ability to win by having to go 4 rounds in a row with a full buy.
And remember that in this league, that even an overtime loss is 1 point, as opposed to losing in regulation. Oh, damn it. Yeah. For 0. So just playing to overtime, win or lose, is a good old way to get yourself something or something other. And once we get down into the, you know, top 6 making LAN finals, all the points do matter. So yes, they take one on the chin, like real men, and they come in with a big, strong, bolstery buy with beards and mustaches. But it's also got an op, something probably more practical than facial hair. LG straight out the gates, applying pressure everywhere. They even have that one soul lurk towards Squeaky Door, just to ensure that NRG don't get curious. Remember, we had that Cirque and Ethan show going on over there at one point, but NRG have changed face as well. They've gone for the Shroud boost. Ethan's up on the boxes. Luminosity, patient here, trying to really hammer this stake home.
Yeah, for Luminosity, if they're able to split this series versus NRG, that would be quite the turnaround. As you were saying, they were the bottom-ranked team until recently.
Yesterday,
when they picked up oh my goodness, a 2-0 versus Cloud9. There's Henny landing that wall bang onto Cirque. He doesn't even get to see the enemy before he's been impaled. Now, man advantage gained here for the Brazilians. 4 frags is all they need to close out this match. They're going to get control of mid early on. Smoke down and see Bugley boosted up in the vents. He's been able to drop the bomb at the very least. So we're into a 4-on-4. Henny over here in the vents. Doesn't want to risk going now peeking into towards that B bomb site just yet, but somehow Neckers and Co, they're all the way in the back line. They're up in the heavens, and NRG, they've got no idea. This is the perfect pincer in towards this B bomb site as Neckers and Lucas both find success. Ethan and Breezy, the last 2 sole hopes alive for NRG, keeping this match going a little bit longer.
but how much longer? That's the question. Not only this retake needed, so many rounds after the fact. Ethan towards the lower side. Breezy was looking for an angle up above, but Heaven's not being good to him, so he'll chance the wall bangs, and even with a man back there, he's just burning time off of the clock, which has already ticked halfway. Now he's lost his teammate, and he too toppled. That is Luminosity splitting maps with NRG and making the most of a T-side here on Cash, really turning things around, and NRG just look lost individually. I mean, these Brazilians, they are unarguably still skilled. That's the thing, is when we look at the executions, when we look at the some of the strategies, like that's where I think it's still fair to criticize them at times. The sloppiness can still be there, the chaos of their executions, but they are a chaotic team, and they're still skilled in those moments, Harry.
Yeah, real case of Brazilians, perhaps, as NRG pick up Inferno, and, well, Luminosity, they've got cash. Now, speaking of cash money, we got two of the biggest ballers in the building over here. We're going to throw this one over to James and Lord as they attempt to try and break this one down for us.
Thank you, guys. I love that little bit of Brazilians. I can take that. We might have to use that again. And it certainly was, at least from the Luminosity side, right? We see them obviously not being able to win even close on the first map going into cash. We said about NRG not having been the favorable team in terms of it's not a map they pick into often. And this is maybe starting to show why, because they got picked apart on their CT side.
Yeah, nothing about the results in the past would have told you that they would have played well in this matchup, especially on cash. And they've seen a really different change of pace in terms of their style of play. And I think in the past, they've done like a lot of full executes. I feel like they used too many grenades when they would try to execute A, or they would just do full site executes in the first place. And here they did a good job of working mid control. And it seemed like at somewhere in like the third part of the game, third quarter of the game, if you will, that NRG's site holds were starting to be good. It was going to be over. You know, it was like 11-7 or something like that. NRG are back on their feet, and you know, Fugly was hitting shots, and they were stopping all the splits, so there was going to be no problem. And then Luminosity clawed their way back in.
And this is what we see at the moment, right, is we're just looking down the standings quickly, and Luminosity, only 4 wins and 10 losses, but hey, you just can manage to take one off NRG. Maybe it's not all doom and gloom for you just yet. This is something to build upon. We speak about their frantic play style and how chaotic it can be. They certainly have shown us that, and we look at the stats across the board. We spoke about Neckers in the pregame as well as Yell quite heavily. They are the less experienced of these other guys, right? And yet they are still there, able to put up the big numbers against a team like NRG. Very respectful.
Absolutely. Yeah, Neckers putting up 188 ADR, and it was consistent across both maps. A lot of impact there, and Daps somehow puts up the biggest highest amount of ADR, which is maybe going to be a problem, obviously.
Yeah.
He's the guy to do it. It's funny though, like on land, sometimes he is the guy to do it. He actually, maybe it's just the experience and the confidence. Not getting scared is a big thing. I really feel like sometimes the biggest difference between like a good team and a great team is just how good you are under the circumstances. You know, if you play differently in the group stages versus the semifinal, you're still the same guy, still the same other team, but the pressure is different.
Yeah, so that's whole different mindset needed for it, right?
Yeah.
Now, one of the things I want to look at, we spoke about it a little bit after the first game, was just how many games NRG are having to play, how much it is on online games back-to-back. There's only so much you can do. There's only so much steam you can have. It's not the same as playing in like a LAN environment or a big event. Now, you can't really falter NRG for kind of dropping them up like this. Okay, they shouldn't have on paper, but this is... It's like, how much can you really do, right? You can't change the game every single time. Not every player is going to deliver on the same level. So we can't really fault them, right?
Yeah, you can't. I guess you can't. Eventually you lose. You know, if you look at it in the grand scope of things, 6-0 a couple of days ago in their online matches, they probably only dropped a handful of maps out of 30 or whatever it was. So maybe it was bound to happen. But they also probably feel very comfortable in Pro League, whereas, you know, Luminosity don't. Like, not even avoiding auto relegation was on their mind for a moment. Now, just even that second spot where they have to play a hungry Premier team, you know, that could be the end of your career as a player. You know, the team might stay alive, the roster might stay there, but someone's getting kicked, you know, and so...
It's not acceptable, especially for an organization of Luminosity's caliber.
Yeah, and in that packing order, maybe Neckers is down there, so he puts up 188 ADR today, you know.
He's like, I got this, I'm going to shine like no other.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, they have a different fire under their feet. We talked about that before.
Well, we are going to go to a quick break, but when we come back, we'll be on to our last series of the day, and it's going to be Rogue versus E United, teams that sit in the middle of the field, but let's see who can come out on top.